Now, by way of my take this morning, I say, Dr. Otabel, tell me which politician or party isn't guilty of this offense. I love, like many Ghanaians, Dr. Mensa Otabel. No, I don't just enjoy his teachings, I learn and feel better empowered each time I listen to the wisdom God has endowed him. I have never disagreed with him, but today I want to disagree with the bit of his recent statement of truth. He desires and notes that a key part of what Ghana requires to lift itself from being a perennial underachiever with small-minded, subsistent thinking citizens unable to grow businesses like Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg is for politicians to ensure a sane environment by legal regulation. Sir, the absence or lack of laws to regulate life isn't our problem. What area of life have we not at least borrowed the beautiful laws of sane England to regulate ourselves with? We have a law on how to deal with mosquitoes. Our paid big men and women are currently busily, lousily wasting our money, fashioning out a law to compel us to do communal clean-up exercises, when all that must be done is to simply enforce our laws that punish littering by up to 3,000 Ghana cedis or 3 years in jail. Now, let's talk about the election campaign gifts and donations, or bluntly put, those vote-buying bribes of cash, bags of rice, roofing sheets, food and drinks. I hear politicians proudly proclaim their ignorance or feign saying that there is nothing wrong with such acts. Now, tell me this. Which politician or party isn't guilty of these laws or any memory of arrest and prosecution for their breach? I reproduce only 3 sections of the Representation of the People Law, 1992. That's the law that governs elections in Ghana. So you don't accuse me of interpreting them to suit my purpose. Section 33 is under the heading bribery. A person commits the offense of bribery if he directly or indirectly, acting through another person, gives money in order to induce the voter to vote or refrain from voting, or corruptly does such an act on account of a voter having voted or refrained from voting, or makes a gift or provides something of value to a voter to induce the voter to vote in a certain way or to obtain the election of a candidate. Section 34, treating. I don't know why they call it treating, because it's bribery. It says, a person commits the offense of treating if he corruptly, either himself or through another person, before, during, or after an election, gives or provides or pays wholly or in part the expenses of giving or providing, check this, meat, drink, cook, entertainment, or provision to or for any person for the purposes of corruptly influencing that person or another person to vote or refrain from voting. Section 35, the very last one I read, and I'm paraphrasing them, I'm editing them. The full version of my take will be online for you to read all of it. It calls that undue influence. A person commits the offense of undue influence if he directly or indirectly or through another person acting on his behalf makes use or threatens to make use of force, violence, or restraint, or inflict or threatens to inflict on another person a temporal or spiritual injury. You know, people go to Antwerp because of the vote. Spiritual injury, damage, harm, or loss in order to induce or compel that person to vote or refrain from voting. This happens in the parties all the time, doesn't it? They go camp them in a hotel, and you take money and you promise that you swear on Antoine or some other god that you vote for them, or else you suffer the consequences. Or on account of that person having voted or refrained from voting. Any of these offenses is punishable by up to 6,000 Ghana cedis or to 2 years in jail. And the part I like most, or you suffer both of these, or you get 5 years. In addition, this is the automatic. In addition to all the punishment, you get 5 years disqualification as a voter. Tell me we won't have a sane political campaigning if these laws were enforced against the very people who made them. That's by way of my take this morning. Thank you very much. And my guests are seated. We will get to the issues that we are going to discuss this morning. And this morning I have in the studio Yao Opong. He is legal practitioner and lecturer at Central University. Also, Abraham Amaliba is a private legal practitioner and member of the NDC legal team. I love his name, I tell you all the time, Amaliba. It simply means he's a fixer. He's like a peacemaker. That's what it means in Guruni. Right. Mustafa Abdul Hamid is spokesperson for Nana Addo Akufo-Addo and Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa. He is MP Northton and Deputy Education Minister. This morning, I'm excited to have my friends join me to have a discussion. I hope that you'll all enjoy it. Good morning and welcome to the studio.
Good morning.
Right. Now, as always, the show is brought to you by Bank of Africa, MTN, Star Assurance, having mosquito coil and spray, Accra Compost and Recycling Plant, that's ACAP, White Temple Agency, a luxury that you can afford. So let's get straight to business. And I would like you to take you to Cape Coast, where you had a stadium filled to capacity and overflowing, we understand, with people who are going to vote for John Mahama. And he looked them in the face and told them 2016 isn't going to be easy. What's it? What does he know that we don't know? Let's get bits and pieces of what happened there, and we'll come back to the studio and discuss the matters arising from that campaign, mammoth campaign launch. An expensive one, I think.
Ladies and gentlemen, shortly after, policing the poll and ensuring the integrity of the ballot is as much a responsibility of the EC as it is for us political parties. As President, I will ensure that the Commission has all the support it requires to carry out its mandate and that a secure environment is created to enable all Ghanaian citizens cast their ballots in a peaceful environment. Political vigilante groups are illegal, and the IGP has been authorized to deal firmly with any group of people who conduct themselves as such. I assure my countrymen and women that government has no intention to shut down the social media on election day. It is my belief that the EC and the political stakeholders will agree on a credible procedure for announcing the results of the elections, and that would be the only recognized channel for doing so. Ladies and gentlemen, shortly after our inauguration, the party was faced with a prolonged electoral dispute. We faced some serious macroeconomic challenges. We were faced with a crippling power crisis, a spate of industrial arrests, market fires, and an adverse international environment. Dissatisfied with the results of the election, our opponents tied the whole nation down in court for much of our first year in office. And because of the novelty of screening the court process on TV, the whole nation was glued to the TV sets for much of each day, walking through pink sheets and legal arguments about the electoral process. While government continued to function optimally, the distraction of the public attention and the wait-and-see attitude developed by sections of the international community negatively affected national output. Macroeconomic instability, caused mainly by the implementation of the single spine pay policy, unsustainable and spiraling subsidies, collapse of the price of international commodities, all conspired to put a squeeze on our economy. A crippling power crisis affected growth, and this was caused by inadequate generating assets, reduced generation from our hydropower stations, and the near insolvency of our power utility companies due to decades of legacy debts.
And that was the president speaking at the campaign launch in Cape Coast. And thankfully this morning, as you may know already, the Honorable Samuel Kudjeto Ablakwa is not only a member of Parliament and a member of the NDC, but he is also a member of the National Campaign Communications Committee and, importantly, also of the Research and Strategy Committee of the party. So let's start on the note of you telling us what you made of the campaign launch. Very successful, I know you'll say. Of course it was.
Yeah, Samson, thank you very much. And good morning to you, to our panelists this morning, and to our viewers and listeners across the country and the world. It's a pleasure to be back on the most authoritative Newsfile. Samson, I must thank you for describing our campaign launch as a success. I think that is a fact that every objective observer will come to, that the campaign launch in Cape Coast on the 14th of August, last Sunday, was a huge success. We could not have wished for any other boost to the President Mahama 2016 one-touch agenda. Apart from the energy, the zeal, the drive that you could very palpably see, we also showed unity. We also showed a sense of commitment to building our country. Many have asked, why will the NDC show so much strength? Why will our teaming supporters, the rank and file, travel all over the country, from Garu Timpani to North Tong, and get to Cape Coast? It is because the NDC is very, very proud of what we have achieved. We are not only the most successful political party in the Fourth Republic, having won 4 out of the 6 elections that have been organized by the Electoral Commission so far. We also have a solid track record of achievement. And so we are very, very proud of what we have achieved. We believe that political organization must definitely contribute to the social and economic reconstruction of our country. It is not just about winning political power. It is not just about being the most successful political party in the Fourth Republic, but it is about translating political electoral victory to improving the living conditions of our people. And our people are so excited because across the sectors we have very visible achievements to show. You take the power sector, energy, and we have moved electricity coverage from 51% in 2008 to 76% by 2015. The current data even shows a further improvement to 81% as at now, as at today. You take water coverage, urban and rural water coverage, it was at 51% in 2008. We have expanded that to 76%. You take the education sector, my own sector. We have a vision that every region should have a public university. We have delivered the University of Health and Allied Sciences in the Volta region, the University of Energy and Natural Resources in the Brong-Ahafo region, after President Rawlings delivered the University for Development Studies. We are now delivering the University for Environment and Sustainable Development for the Eastern region, which is the last region left without a public university. Parliament has already passed the bill. We now have the University of Environment and Sustainable Development Act, and next month President Mahama will be in the Eastern region to cut salt for construction to begin. The Korean Exim Bank has very graciously accepted our proposal, inviting them to help us construct the university. You take the peace and stability that we are enjoying. We have contributed meaningfully as a political party, as leaders, to have for ourselves, and perhaps it's even the most important thing, because all of these achievements that I can recount, if we don't have peace, we don't have stability. If we don't have a constitution like the 1992 constitution, which has served us so well, which the NDC is proud to say that we led the process leading to the promulgation of the 1992 constitution, which has so well, crafted our governance architecture in such a way that we are all able to live, peacefully and respect state institutions and coexist, and build for ourselves a very amazing nation, which many other countries are proud of. All of these things is what keeps driving NDC members, that no matter what you seek to do to us, if you're a detractor or you're an opponent and you think that you can really dampen our resolve, reduce our commitment, it doesn't seem to work. You always notice that the NDC is such a formidable force, and we have been blessed with a leader who is a unifier. President Mahama is our greatest asset. He has been a leader who has brought all sides at the campaign launch, regardless of all what people will say about factions and all of that. You saw President Rawlings was in full attendance. He gave a very wonderful speech. It was also loaded with a lot of wit and advice to us. You had the national executives represented. You have the Ahoy brothers well in attendance, Totobi Kwache, all the elders, Antifosina Nelson.
Most everybody that matters in the party was there. Everybody was there. Nobody wanted to miss out of on the roll call.
Right. So we will say that it was not only a very successful campaign launch, but it gave us a spring in our step towards a one-touch victory on December 7, 2016.
We'll get to the specifics shortly. Now, let me hear from Mustafa Hamid. And Mustafa Hamid is the spokesperson of the flag bearer, Nana Aludankwa Akufo-Addo. There are some other spokespersons, but he is the spokesperson. I'm excited to have you as always. Now, sitting back and watching everything that happened on the campaign launch platform, it sent some shivers down your spine. That look, it does appear that the 2016 is going to be yet another very big task for the NPP.
Well, thank you, Samson. By way of courtesy, I would say good morning to our viewers and then also the listeners and to all of my friends on the panel. Incidentally, like I said off camera, the two NDC representatives are some of the closest friends I have had in the past. And I mean in the past, because since they became big men, it's difficult to get a hold on them. Anyway, something. First of all, I did not watch the entire launch because at that point we were also doing our tour of the northern part of the western region. But I followed some of the comments.
It was important for you
on radio, of course, and I was saddened by the entire thing that happened in Cape Coast, because if you are a ruling party, if you are a government that has had the mandate of the people of Ghana for the past nearly 80 years, and then you come to launch a campaign to ask for 4 more years, we would expect that you would provide us a solid record of achievements for the past 8 years. Because a ruling government fights elections on its record, not necessarily on a manifesto. Opposition parties fight elections on manifestos, but ruling governments all over the world fight elections on their record. So when you find that a ruling party spends so much money gathering people, bringing people all across the country to one venue, only to give a litany of excuses as to why this country is not doing well, then you know that impliedly that is an admission of massive failure on the part of the government. Now, apart from all the other people who took time to insult Akufo-Addo's person, and the president who came and sought to feed into some of those diabolics by talking about our matters. He himself, when he came to his matters, per the clip you even played today, gave a litany of excuses. He talked about several factors actually conspiring to cripple our progress as a nation this far. He said that for 8 months the whole nation was tied down, and if you use that symbolism, what you seek to imply, put in the minds, the picture that you want to put in the minds of people, is literally a nation that was immobilized, completely immobilized. Not just the government functionary, but he implies that even the citizens, all citizens were at a standstill. Everybody was glued to their television set for 8 months and doing nothing. And so because of that, there was virtually no productivity for 8 months, and that is where we are. Now, contrast that to the time during the election petition, when he traveled to France and said whilst he was in France that here I am, I'm working, I'm still traveling around the world for Ghana. The election petition doesn't bother me at all. Then down the line, you tell us that the election petition had so crippled you that you didn't work. As they say in Ghana, I can't think far. Now, I will tell the president what really has conspired to cripple us. It is not falling cocoa prices, balance of payments, all of those economic terms, and power shortage, and etc., which he says are the conspirators in our predicament. I'll tell you what the conspirators in our predicament are. The conspirators in our predicament are corruption. And by corruption, I actually mean naked stealing of state resources, incompetence, insensitivity, arrogance of power, and, if you want, a government that is simply unwilling to listen to the concerns of the people. These are the major conspirators in our predicament. If but for these factors, we would not be where we are. So it is not about balance of payment, deficits, and so on and so forth. So as far as I am concerned, this campaign launch that was done in Cape Coast was an exercise in futility. An exercise in futility because it was a huge waste of our nation's resources, a huge waste of the time of the people. And from there, the events that have unfolded will tell you that this is not a government that is prepared to fight on any solid record, but a government that desires that because we have failed and because we are making excuses about certain economic conspirators, let us go out and, if you want, blatantly bribe the people to win an election. And I'm sure we'll come to the question of bribery later on. So this is the reason we are where we are. As far as I am concerned, these days I've been moving around in taxis and public transportation because my vehicle is broken down. You need to go into these public transportation systems. You just need to perhaps park your car and go by them. In fact, I've decided now, even now, when my car is back on road, I would go by those means. Then you would hear what the people actually feel on the ground.
Interesting. Thank you. Hold it there for me. You said a few things though. I followed, your campaign before as one who was covering Dr. Bawumia and Nana Akufo-Addo, and I know you're deep and that you also respect facts.
Absolutely.
You're talking about a record that they are using for what they have to do. They are seeking a renewal of a 4-year mandate. That's what the Constitution permits. So when you say 8 years, you know that you're being disingenuous with the fact there.
Oh, that they have served in government for 8 years is disingenuous?
No, you say that that's the mandate they are coming to renew. The mandate they are coming to renew is a 4-year term, just for the fact. And then you speak about manifestos, and that you expect that they would come there to deal with their manifestos.
With their record.
With their record. They have said that they are going to launch their manifesto in Sunyani very soon. And your party also says that
the point I'm making to you is that their manifesto is immaterial as far as I am concerned.
Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So you got me wrong. What I'm saying is that ruling governments fight elections on their record, not manifestos.
Okay. Thank you.
Opposition parties
now maybe
expect to see a manifesto.
Maybe AB would respond to some of the things you say. He says that this was a waste of the nation's resources. I'm sure you will have some response to that. He speaks about the people on the platform who insulted Nana Akufo-Addo. Is that what happened on the campaign?
Let me say good morning to your viewers. The attendance at the Cape Coast Sports Stadium was so amazing that the talk of Ghanaians are fed up with the NDC vanished into thin air. Completely vanished. When I was at the stadium, I was in the grass, the playing field, granting interviews. Now, when I look at the stands, then I ask myself, are these Azerbaijanis or they are from Mongolia? Are they also fed up with the NDC? But when we came out of the stadium, it vanished and they never spoke about that. We were there with our party chairman, not an acting chairman. We were there with our general secretary, not acting. We were there with everybody who matters, as you indicated. We showed strength. We showed unity. What the president sought to do was to say that it's not all rosy since I took over. And that's an honest gentleman. We all know the things he cataloged as challenges actually happened. Is it not a fact that Nana Akufo-Addo, Obechevi Lamte, the late, and Dr. Bawumia, filed a petition in court? And is it not also true that people were glued to their televisions? It is true that the donor agencies were not sure where the pendulum would swing. And so we were waiting and held back resources that would have advanced this country. Now, Sami has enumerated.
But it is also true that the president then said it didn't affect him. It didn't affect the running of the economy.
Good. It didn't affect him. It didn't affect the running of the economy as a person. That he will not allow what is happening in court to tie him down. He will still soldier on. He was speaking to himself. But he was not speaking to our development partners. He was not telling them how they feel about this economy, how they feel about the Supreme Court decision.
There was no injunction on him preventing him from working.
I'm saying that
the judges who were sitting on the case were not the ones running the
I'm saying that what you don't understand is that there is an institution called maybe the IMF. We have donor partners, maybe DFID. They, in their boardrooms, are taking certain decisions the president cannot intervene. That's what we are saying.
Okay.
Now, he then went further to say that with all these challenges, I have soldiered on and enumerated just as Sami enumerated. What he sought to do was to say that if we did not have these challenges initially, I would have done more. And so it is not a situation where Mustafa will say that the president came to lament. No. He was just being frank and said that we've still chalked some successes on corruption. The most credible Transparency International, the most credible anti-graft institution in the world is Transparency International. And what did they say about Ghana and Senegal? It is indicated that Ghana and Senegal are the two African countries that are soldiering on and are fighting hard against corrupt practices in their country. They gave us a killing bill.
Much of the credit was to groups, civil society organization.
Samson. You are Samson, he's Sam. Samson. We're talking about a government that has provided space. In some countries, after you finish this type of programs, you go out here, they'll bundle you. We're talking about a government which can even allow people to sit on television and insult the president. That's the kind of atmosphere we're able to give to the civil society organization you're talking about that has led to our records being classified as high. So I think that if we're talking about corruption, this is a government that has hauled its own people to court. This is a government that has agreed to be investigated at the National Service. You know all these matters. In time past, these were not allowed. And so for me, we have an opposition which is in 6s and 7s, which has suddenly found out that the ruling government is doing something right. People are beginning to gravitate towards it, and now they are panicking. This was seen clearly in the fact that as a political unit, we demonstrated strength and unity in this party.
Briefly, tell us, do you think that, for example, Hamid and his people are being fair and sincere to the fact? He says it all boils down, whatever we have suffered, boils down to incompetence, arrogance of power, and he enumerates all of those factors and completely ignores the successes that the NDC will tell you about, including the successes in the area of the water sector, the electricity, where he gave the figures which suggest that the NDC has done over 30% of increasing the power access and megawatts, so to speak, for all of us.
Well, good morning. But as expected from politicians, at least this part of the world, they will usually not highlight the good deeds of, if you like, their opponents, and highlight just what they think are the vices or the bad things that people in their mind think that they have done. So that is quite expected. But I think looking at the facts, for example, the issue of the case, the election petition, has been one of the reasons why we didn't do well. I think that the facts as contained in the 2014 budget, which is a reflection of our performance in 2013, will not speak to that. And I've been looking at it. We've had serious improvements in terms of export. We did better in 2013 than 2012. In terms of agriculture, we did better in 2013 than in 2012. In terms of service sector, we did better in 2013 than in 2012. GRA, the Ghana Revenue Service, said they even exceeded their target. It means we're paying taxes. So overall, I do not think that the immediate indices for measuring our performance in terms of the facts that are contained in the government's own budget, that it will support a claim that because of the presidential petition, we did not perform as we were expected to. And anybody who cares to look at the budget of 2014, which is a reflection of the performance in 2013, will attest to the fact that, yes, we have problem with the global economy or economic outlook, and that contributed in the reduction in the growth, just slightly below 2012. But 2014 was worse. We jumped from about 7% in 2013 to about 4-point-something%. And 2015 was also worse. It was the latter part of the 2015 that we improved by at least 2 points. So from 7 to about 4 in 2014. And I'm saying that we have to look at the immediate facts immediately after or within the period. That is the 2013 performance and not 2015 performance.
Agriculture is a most important, sector of the economy.
Yes.
It was growing at 0%.
Yes, and we did better in 2013 than even in 2014. Agriculture, service sector, the same. Look at the 2014 budget. So I'm not very sure that the election petition per se can even be one of the reasons why we didn't do well, because we did better in 2013 than 2014 and than 2015. We were just declining until 2015. We lifted ourselves up, I think, 2% or so. And so that is my concern about that fact. As for the organization, I think it was perfect, and I'm happy that a good friend of mine.
But tell me, what's the essence of such a launch and doing it in such an expensive way, busing people from all over the country? You're busing your own supporters. They support you anyway, to one grounds to talk to them.
Yes, that is the point that I had from my good friend Maliba. I mean, the last election, NDC had more than 5 million people voted for President Mahama. And so if about 1 million assemble at a place, that is if that was the number, I don't think that is far-fetched.
All these people were no more with us.
Oh, who?
That's the impression.
Well, I haven't.
All these people are no longer with the NDC.
I haven't
They've all gone.
created any such impression.
Okay.
Please allow me.
Right.
I haven't. I'm saying that it is not far-fetched to expect even 2 million people to
But
come
he's saying
to
that's
the
what the
ground.
MPP is saying, that the MPP claims that they've lost this support.
Oh, but I don't think the MPP expect that in the next election, President Mahama will not get at least 3 million. I don't think they will be right if they say so.
Right.
At least there are core people who are about 3 million for NDC, 3 million for MPP, who will never change their mind.
Right.
That one, you have to accept it as a matter of fact. And I think that the recent elections will confirm that sometimes it is just about 40,000 or so votes that divide the two.
Same.
Sometimes the pendulum even swings. Before runoff, this one is winning 49.something%.
So back to the essence of this exercise.
Yeah, so the essence for me, I mean, I think is very important. At least it had the effect of, as he said, showcasing to the whole world that they still have a large following. Then number two, it was also a point to bring the elders also together, for people to know that our elders are still in support of us. President Mahama has endeared himself to everybody. What I think should also exercise our mind is, as we understand the popular saying in Nigeria, when there is position, you don't join opposition. You understand? So when the person you are supporting is in power, one, the circumstances, your financial circumstances will automatically change. I'm not very sure that if they were in opposition, they may have been able to even convince the Metro Mass, managers of the Metro Mass, to release that many vehicles for them, whether they paid or not. That is a matter of controversy.
President Kufuor prefers to be a messenger in a governing party than to be a general secretary of an opposition party.
That is true. But except that even I will have a problem, then it means that that messenger is preferred in a party because of the financial attraction. And I don't think that is the reason why people should go into government. So it's possible for you to influence decision making even as a general secretary in opposition than even as a messenger in government. And so that is debatable. So on the whole, and if I may just briefly touch on what President Mahama, President Rawlings, former President Rawlings said.
Okay, then just hold on. We'll get to those matters. You're still here on Newsfile. This is your most authoritative news analysis show, and your views and comments are welcome as always. We'll share them with the rest of the world later. If you're watching us on multi-TV or subsequently on ABN television in London, you also know that presently you can search for us on your DSTV channel 421, DSTV channel 421, and you get us live. Get value for your money in the Aquaba promo from Bank of Africa. From now till the 31st of January 2017, open a current account or savings account with the Bank of Africa and earn unbeatable commissions on your deposits. For more details and how to participate, simply visit any Bank of Africa branch in the country, wherever you may find yourself. Now, if you're using an internet that does not give you speed, just hop on to MTN. It doesn't take 4 hours to cook instant noodles. You don't have to think far. So hop on to MTN, and I'm talking about the MTN 4G LTE, and enjoy a whopping 100% bonus when you bundle. Just get started, simply dial *585 hash to check if your device is 4G compatible, and then you visit any MTN service center near you with a valid ID card, and you will be signed on. Make it happen quick. Everything you always wanted of insurance is online now. You buy, you renew, make your claims, all in 3 easy steps. First, log on to starassurance.com and follow the easy steps to get your insurance online. It's that easy and quick. Star e-insurance, possible anywhere, anytime. And Star Insurance Assurance, they are your solid partner. Heaven Insecticide has relaunched a newly improved, stronger killing formula for its products. Heaven Black Mosquito Coil and Heaven Plus Mosquito Spray now have a stronger killing formula against all flying and crawling insects, mosquitoes, cockroaches, and ants. Heaven Black Mosquito Coil and Heaven Plus Mosquito Spray also have a unique sweet scented perfume, and you can sleep in your room immediately after spraying. Heaven Plus Mosquito Spray, pleasant on humans and tough nightmare on insects. Heaven Black Mosquito Coil, a kum and tum team. Now let's try and see if we can deal with some of the specifics. Number one, you gathered your elders, including your founder. Some now prefer to say the founding leader or father of the party rather than founder. Let's hear what President Rawlings had to say. And it's being said that he didn't endorse President Mahama, and that should get you worried. Let's hear President Rawlings.
I think what's important is to recognize that what is ahead of you will not be an easy task. It's going to be quite a challenge, and it's going to be quite demanding. I can only appeal that you do not allow unnecessary, undue provocations to create undue tension. Let's go through this campaign as responsibly as we possibly can, all the way into the elections. I will reserve what I have to say till after the elections, when I will come around the country to share with you how I think we could restore the kind of strength that can take us well into the future. There are certain weaknesses that we need to deal with.
Right, so former President Rawlings there. What do you say, son?
Yeah, if you can allow me a minute to just respond to what Mustafa Hamid said. You know, it's very interesting. He begins his submission by saying that he did not get the opportunity to follow the campaign launch because they
fully
were
in its entirety.
Yes, that you were in the northern part of the Western region campaigning, and yet you claim in that same breath that every speaker after speaker just came to insult and malign your candidate.
Ahead of you.
I leave that to the judgment of our listeners and our viewers. All those who watched the campaign launch know that we put forth our record, and it is a solid record. I was one of the speakers there, and I provided statistics of the progress that we have made in education. I recall talking about the fact that at the basic level, we have additionally brought in over 300,000 pupils in school, about how we have eliminated 1,600 schools under trees, replaced them with decent facilities for our teachers and our pupils in school. At the second cycle level, I talked about the new community day schools that President Mahama is constructing, that 9 have been commissioned so far, that 5 were ready for commissioning in the central region, and proceeded to provide a list of the districts where these community day schools could be found. I talked about the implementation of progressively free senior high school education in line with Article 25 of the 1992 Constitution, and talked about how next month we were now bringing on board boarders, 120,000 boarders. I came to the tertiary level, provided more particulars about achievements in that sector, the conversion of our polytechnics to technical universities.
There were other sector ministers who spoke to their sectors.
Honorable Haruna Idrisu, Honorable Hannah Tete.
Yeah, I think the area
provided, and Ghanaians saw that this is a party that is not oblivious of the fact that we are in power.
I think where the question of insults come in is where I'd like you to confirm whether it is true or not, because I still haven't heard the tape that Nilante van der Poel, that the minister had called Akufo-Addo names and claimed that he was short and he was wearing, spectacles over the place, and he wasn't deserving of the presidency.
So one speaker out of over 15 speakers. Now, that speaker, I have heard him subsequently say that what he sought to communicate was that the Flagstaff House, whether you are tall or short, that is not what should be in consideration. That is what I have heard him say, in explaining that point, that it is neither for short people or tall people, but it is for people with particular characteristics, particular qualities. That is what Nilante van der Poel, the Honorable Minister for Youth and Sports, has explained. And I think that we should give him the benefit of the doubt.
To Jerry Rawlings and his reluctance at clearly endorsing your candidate.
I am really surprised about the claim of a reluctance. When you invite your founding father to your campaign launch and he does not turn you down, he could have had the option. Nobody is under compulsion to attend a program or a campaign launch. He attends, acknowledges the cheers, agrees to speak, delivers a fantastic address, tells us that this battle will not be easy. Don't underestimate your opponent. Know that they have been around longer than us, except that they've been changing their names when it suits them. Remember that part of our history. And don't mimic them. He uses the word, quoting him verbatim. He says, don't mimic them. Don't be like them. Fight them on our strength. And what is our strength? Our strength is that we are a mass party. We are not an elitist group. We create opportunities for all. We give everybody a voice. It doesn't matter your background. It doesn't matter who your father is, who your mother is, which part of the country you come from. We are a true nationalistic party. We have legislative representation in all the 10 regions of Ghana. We are the only party that can boast of that. We're a true national party.
Don't you sense a clear indictment by the former president when he says that you seem to have thrown away the values upon which the NDC was formed, and on the basis of that, you don't want to expect to win an election?
No, he didn't say that. He didn't say that. You can play back the tape. He didn't say that. He said that we should not forget our values. We should not mimic them. We shouldn't be like the MPP. That's what he said. He didn't say that we have thrown away our values. He rather, in my, and that is really the most reasonable interpretation you can give to what he said, that remain on course, remain on the path that you are. Don't mimic, don't copy the MPP, don't be like them. And then he says that, look, this campaign is not going to be easy. Let us execute this campaign, reducing tensions and making sure that at the end of the day, Ghana is one nation, we are united. He spoke very statesmanly, very, very statesmanly. You see, let us remember that apart from being a founding father of a party, he is also a former president. So that fact is not lost on him. Okay. And he doesn't want to just descend and be talking as any, common floor member of the party.
That was supposed to be a quick one. That was supposed to be a quick one. This is the founder.
So something.
Let me conclude by saying that
his presence is an endorsement. His presence is an endorsement, and his speech, the fact that the NPP is disappointed that he didn't boom, is also an endorsement of President Mohammed's candidature for 2016.
Right. This is the founder saying they are losing the NDC is losing its values, and saying that he thinks that what they ought to focus on now is, quote, how I think we could restore the kind of strength that will take us into the future, the need for restoration. As it may sound as being an indictment of the party from a certain interpretation, it also may suggest that he feels that the NPP is not doing the right things.
Well,
because if mimicking you will cost them the elections, then
well, I don't know what mimicking us would imply, but I agree with Sammy that for some he was there as an NDC founder, at the same time as a statesman, a former president of the republic, and therefore he said certain things that fundamentally should go to define what leadership in our country should be like. And for me, that's what is important. Yeah. He talks about the values that motivated him and some of his people perhaps to, if you want, undertake the 79 coup or perhaps the 1981 coup, which is the direct antecedent to the NDC. He has always consistently through the 1979 been talking about, he has a certain phrase, he calls it moral fiber, okay, which is anchored on truth. I following me? And therefore he's disappointed that the NDC has completely abandoned that principle, and it's on a trajectory of falsehood, deceit, selfishness, corruption, etc.
President Rollins said this.
We're analyzing the statement.
I
think it's permissible.
Oh, really?
Yes, I'm a student of literature.
Right.
He says that you have abandoned the principles that established the NDC. I'm telling you that
your literature lecturers are not impressed.
Your minister was one.
Yeah, I'm not sure she should be impressed with what you are doing this morning.
She taught me interpretation.
Okay.
Literary interpretation, I mean. Now, the point I'm making, something, ask him not to distract me anymore.
Okay.
I'm saying that Jerry Rawlings says that the NDC is purported to have been established on the principles of truth, accountability, and integrity. Is that not the case?
Of course, we know he's had problems with the party and its members.
Please, let's be logical and
accusations of corruption and all of that.
Exactly. So the point I'm trying for Sami to understand, that if somebody says that we built this party on the principles of truth, integrity, and accountability, and is now saying that you have departed from all these principles, what are the, if you want, antonyms or the opposites, are you okay, of truth, of integrity, and of accountability? Absolutely. The opposites of these things are untruth, are deceit, a lack of integrity, naked stealing of state resources, corruption, etc., etc. Because he is not unaware of the fact that people were lined up and shot in this country for taking paltry sums of money. Are you following me? So basically, Jerry Rawlings is saying that that is not the case. Now, to prove my case that this government is not being truthful to the people of Ghana, in 2013 December, precisely 23rd December 2013, President Mahama addressed Women's Aglo at the Independence Square. And this is the banner headline of graphic at that time. 2014 will be better. Is that okay? Then he went to Ho and said economy will be strong in 2014. He actually said, and I quote, things are on track. We have done a good job. The economy will be scaling. And by 2016, it should be flying up in the air. Unquote. This is speaking to Volta Regional Executive of the NDC in Ho. Then in December 2014, he comes back to say, well, it will be 2015 will be a year in which we would have banished darkness from our land and put an end to doom. So I knew that this would be an interesting prophetic pronouncement. He also assured that 2015 will be a good year. So 2013, you say 2014 will be good. 2014, you say, oh, we'll get to 2015, it will be good.
And this last reference was where he was speaking at the
Perez
Chapel.
Now watch 2016, 28th April 2016. He says in Kumasi, 2017 will be a better year for workers. President Mahama promises ahead of May Day. President Mahama says workers can expect an improvement in their finances beginning 2017, when the economy will be set to bounce back strongly. Now, let me take you back to 2012. Fritz Baffour was then Minister for Information. A few days to the election, he was making a case for President Mahama. This is Fritz Baffour, and I quote, "We have already laid the foundation. We have taken off, and we want to soar," unquote. Now, if this is not deception, then frankly, I don't know what is. From 2012, you have consistently told us that you have laid the foundation. In other words, the mandate that was given you between 2009 to 2012, you had laid the foundation. And you came back to us in 2012 and said, give us the mandate again. This time we are ready to soar. In other words, to fly. Then in 2013, perhaps you fracture a few ligaments. So you are unable to even taxi, not alone to fly. And then 2013, you say, okay, don't worry, we'll fix our broken ligaments. And then 2014, we'll fly. 2014, you come, sorry, the doctors were quite not at work, so we couldn't fix our broken fractures. We fixed it. We'll fly in 2015, then 2015, then 2016. Now again, he says 2017. And I guess that Ghanaians are simply tired of excuses.
But the reference to 2017, though,
yes,
is a reference of the economy bouncing back.
Yes.
That is affirmed by reputable institutions, including the economic intelligence units, you know, that you rely on with their polls about the elections. So that one we can trust.
Let me address that. You see, my colleague lecturer, what's your name, sir? I'm sorry.
Yao Pong
said, for example, that in his view, that we had done better in 2014 than with 2013 than perhaps we did in 2012. And his definition
2014
than in 2014.
Exactly. Now his definition of better is that we moved agriculture from a growth of 0.04% to 2.5%. That is his definition of doing better. The IMF said that in 2015 we grew at 3.4%. That 2016 we expected to grow at about 3.3%, and that perhaps in 2017 we will grow at 6%. You see, the problem with the betterness, so to speak, that we are talking about is simply that it is not a better that will get the average Ghanaian out of the economic quagmire in which they find themselves. So I beg to differ that when you are growing from 0.04%, it's like your daughter is 40th in class out of 45 people. And then the next time she comes, she's now 44th. And then you are no parent would jubilate at that betterness.
Wrong, but I'll respond.
Okay, don't worry. Now let's hear from Abraham. Yes, the questions about the former president seeking not to endorse and seeking to indict the party somewhat. What do you say?
You know, when we were going to Cape Coast, our opponents were saying that the founder will not appear. He appeared. Yes, there were some radio stations. You heard them.
Okay, I didn't hear though.
Yeah. He appeared. Now, the next stage was that, and you see, I'm trying to make this point to show how they always shift the goalpost, and you count them. After goalpost shifted, you count them. At a point, I am tired and I just leave them to go. You see? Then he got to, when we were at the stadium, they expected him to boom. The boom never came.
Because of Mrs.
I don't know about that.
Lordina Mohammed's
I'm sure
intervention.
Our founder, if he wanted to boom, would have boomed. But he didn't boom.
Right.
Now, you hear them say he did not endorse President Mahama. I asked the question. All of us who came from all over the country, what were we there for? Our presence alone, what were we there for? We were there to outdoor somebody. And if there's an outdoor ceremony, and people come from all over to the outdoor ceremony, You say that one who was there did not acknowledge the giving of the birth of the baby. Can you imagine? Huh? So for me, it's a case of trying to clutch to straws and trying to get some excuses. But the former president was emphatic that, you know, these people who are like chameleons, they change their names, but they are the same people. Don't behave like them. Between the two of us, who has received a tongue lashing? Then he says that then we, as a party, should not lose focus. We should not mimic them. And for that matter, we should not behave like them. Meaning that, as a grassroots party, we should stay focused on the grassroots people. That is where we will get our vote. Again, this is wise counseling. And I find it difficult for anybody who wants to draw strings and pull and do some literary gymnastics. I don't think Professor Nana taught you literal gymnastics.
But you are analyzing and interpreting yourself.
No, these are gymnastics.
No, I mean, what you have been saying are not the president's own words. So you are also analyzing and interpreting.
What I'm saying is a natural reference. It draws from what he's saying.
But his too can be supported because the president's record is known as criticizing the NDC for losing it, for losing the values.
No, we are talking about Cape Coast.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
In other platforms, I've heard the president say we've lost our focus.
Right.
But in Cape Coast, he didn't say we've lost our focus. That's the point. If you are looking for extraneous factors to add to what he has said, I agree with you. That there were some platforms, he said that. But on this platform, the reason for which we are making this discussion, they don't say that.
Okay.
That's the point I want to make.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, it's amazing. When I listened to him, one word that captivated me was restore.
Restore, okay.
And in the context, he said, after the election, I will go to all the appropriate areas in the country and show how we will restore the values we have lost. You don't restore something you have not lost. And he's not saying that right now, let us take steps to restore it. He's saying that after the election. And so when you take the speech in its totality, which is about values, and then he uses the word restore, which is pursuant to steps you take after the election, is that not implying that if you don't restore these values now, you are not likely to win the election? I think for me that is how I take it. Then also, talking about endorsement, President Rawlings was at his wife's party congress, or is it conference? Does it mean he has endorsed two people who have given indication that when the Electoral Commission opens nomination, they will contest? There, you see, growing up, I think one thing I got from President Rawlings is he's a consummate actor, political actor, if you like. The man will always speak, and for 3 weeks or more than that, people will try to understand what he said. And that, somebody said, makes him very relevant. Nobody should have expected him to have raised President Mohammed's hand when the wife has also evinced an indication that she will also contest. So his mere presence there, I mean, we saw what Obama did. I was so touched by the speech he gave, and even the experience, the hug he had with Mrs. Clinton is enough to tell you President Rawlings has done it before to President Mills.
Did you see the salute?
May so rest in peace.
Did you see the salute?
But when you are speaking, when you are speaking,
this is not a monologue. This is not a monologue. Don't expect that we will all be dumb. At least once in a while we chip in. What is the matter? This is not a monologue. Then talk. You talk. Oh.
Go on. Conduct yourself.
Conduct what?
Go on.
You making it look like somebody's an outcast. Go on. You can't chip in something small.
Go on. But I thought frankly it was harmless. To say
but
that there was a salute he gave the president.
No,
whether
when
you
you do
recognize
that, then you see,
you lose your
thought
strain of
processes.
thoughts. Okay.
And that's why I'm usually quiet. But since he's told me there's nothing wrong with it, he should expect it from me.
Yeah,
in a decent way.
No, you don't do that, so I don't
The
expect
president
it
is
for you.
the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces. He's the nation's leader. Even me, when I see the president now, I'll salute him because he's the president.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean that I endorse him.
Okay.
That's show of
It's not a show of admiration.
My point clearly is this, that if you lose the fact, or as I understand it, that President Rawlings is an actor, and he will usually put people in a mood to analyze his persona and what he says, you lose it. So sometimes I get amused when he says something that appears to be favorable to the MPP and they go to town with it.
Right.
This is not a person, and I have a lot of respect for, that you should always expect that, to put it bluntly, your expectations about him will be met. No. And therefore, he speaks in a way to leave something in the vacuum for you to fill in. So what I get from what he said is that you have lost some of the key values. Go back and restore those values if you want to win the next election.
However, the context is that he said after the elections, he will go around the country and show how to restore those values and to
that is
indicate
what I want
a
to
future
highlight.
for
And
the
that
party.
should be to them that impliedly
we have to take a break and then return to look at the questions of vote buying that have come afterwards. Yes, briefly.
The discussion on restoration of values is interesting. But let Mustafa Hamid know that the values that we are seeking after and discussing, we cannot find those values in the new Patriotic Party.
Really?
Values such as integrity. Look at the corruption in the new Patriotic Party today.
What corruption?
The EcoBank account.
What is an
The
EcoBank
Sami
account?
Crab report.
What is a Sami
Massive
Crab?
corruption. Intolerance is not a value we will go to you for. The disunity, lack of leadership, bad judgment. You don't have a leader who is a peace builder. To the extent that over 2,000 of your members, constituency executives, regional executives, have been suspended all across the country.
2,000.
Over that.
That's a lie.
And we have a situation where, as we speak,
No, this 2000 thing.
as we speak,
It's not true.
all over.
It's not
all
true.
over, from national, regional to the branch level.
Mention
all
them.
over.
I don't know, you can't get me example from your
All over.
Even in your constituency.
So I welcome the discussion on values and leadership.
Yeah.
I welcome that. And if that is what the 2016 campaign will be about, as President Rawlings
I'm
has
sure
said,
the issue you are raising will come up when we're discussing
Ghanaians will want to
the
vote for a party
matter,
that is
because
showing,
you can't
that
run
is
away
showing
from
greater
that.
values.
Okay, thank you.
Decent
Thank you.
values.
Thank you.
Then
you
the
want to
election
respond to
is
him
won.
quickly, then we take a break.
Landslide.
Well, of course, he's put out untruths, and it ought to be rebutted that there is nothing to do with corruption when it comes to EcoBank account. An account was opened, parties' money were deposited, properly so spent, etc., etc. So what is all these views about an EcoBank account and this and that and that? The acting national chairman was a signatory, the treasurer is signatory to that account, etc., etc. And life goes on. There was a committee that was put in place. The committee has investigated. It hasn't found anything wrong.
He talks about intolerance for the divergent views leading to all the suspensions.
But even that, there is no evidence for that. What is it? That, listen.
Leading to a regional chairman losing his life.
We will come to talk about that.
And all of, I didn't want to
but
go there because
who did that?
sensibilities are involved.
Okay, we will take a break here, and then when we return, we'll discuss.
What are the precipitations?
We'll discuss the damning verdict of the CDD and also the GII, the Ghana Integrity Initiative, the CDD, the Center for Democratic Development. They've all been saying a lot of things. The NDC has been ranked to top vote buying, or if you like, corruption in election issues. Well, the MPP were not left out, but the GII is also very clear in its mind that there is an abuse of incumbency presently as the president goes around the country, and also his wife, the First Lady, goes about donating all sorts of stuff. Okay, we'll be right back.